A man who kneels for affection will eventually be trampled by it. There's a chilling fact most people ignore. 80% of men today are secretly ruled by the women they love, not because they lack strength, but because they willingly surrender it. They swap their backbone for bouquets, their principles for pillow talk, and their freedom for fleeting feelings. But then, there are Sigma males, the ungovernable, the untamed, the ones who refuse to be owned. While most men are busy bending over backwards trying to be someone's everything, Sigmas remain an enigma, impossible to possess, impossible to predict. They don't play by the rules because they never agreed to the game in the first place. To a Sigma, freedom is not just a preference. It is oxygen, and anyone who tries to take it away might as well try holding their breath underwater. But why? Why do Sigma males, even in the face of love, never allow themselves to be owned by women? What makes them immune to the traps that ensnare millions? It's time you discover the brutal, unfiltered truth. Number 1. Skepticism toward romantic narratives. Sigma males don't buy into the fairy tales most people cling to. For them, love is not some magical force that conquers all. It's a complex mix of emotions, expectations, and social conditioning. Most men are raised to see love as their ultimate achievement, the crown jewel of their existence. They're told that finding the one will complete them, that they must sacrifice, surrender, and even suffer for love. But Sigma males see right through this narrative, and they are utterly unimpressed. They recognize that many so-called love stories are just clever illusions, emotional performances designed to keep people in line. Society romanticizes sacrifice, paints jealousy as passion, and glorifies dependency as commitment. But Sigmas see a darker truth hiding beneath these shiny ideals. They know that when love is used as a tool of control, when it comes with conditions, ultimatums, or unspoken expectations, it's no longer love, it's a transaction. And Sigmas don't do transactions disguised as romance. A Sigma male's skepticism doesn't make him cold or incapable of affection. Quite the opposite. He is perfectly capable of deep, genuine love, but only when it is free of manipulation, coercion, or control. He doesn't want to be anyone's savior or sacrifice his dreams on the altar of someone else's happiness. He knows that most people are in love with the idea of love rather than the reality of it, chasing emotional highs without ever understanding the cost. This is why a Sigma refuses to be owned by a woman. He will not be ensnared by empty promises, won't become a pawn in someone else's fantasy, and won't trade his freedom for fleeting feelings. He understands that true love should enhance his life, not imprison it. And the moment he senses a woman trying to cage him with guilt, obligation, or emotional blackmail, he becomes untouchable. He walks away without a second thought. To a Sigma, the fairy tale is just a socially sanctioned trap, and he is the one who walks around the edges while everyone else falls in. His skepticism is not cynicism, it's clarity. It's the ability to see love for what it really is. Something that can be pure and powerful, but only when it doesn't come with a leash. Number 2. Self-respect as a non-negotiable asset. For a Sigma male, self-respect is not just a personal value, it is a sacred currency, one that he guards more fiercely than his money, his time, or even his heart. In a world where many people are willing to bend, break, or betray themselves just to feel accepted or loved, a Sigma stands apart. His self-respect is non-negotiable. It is not something he is willing to trade, borrow, or manipulate, not for love, not for comfort, and certainly not for anyone's approval. This unwavering sense of self-worth is what makes a Sigma so difficult to control. Most people, driven by fear of rejection or loneliness, will compromise their values to keep someone around. They will apologize when they are not wrong, agree when they disagree, and tolerate disrespect just to avoid conflict. But a Sigma male would rather walk away with his dignity intact than stay in a situation where his self-respect is on the line. To him, respect is not just a word, it is an invisible line that no one, not even someone he loves, is allowed to cross. He has no patience for passive-aggressive comments, manipulative guilt trips, or subtle attempts to control him. The moment he senses a woman trying to belittle him, test his boundaries, or twist his principles to suit her own desires, she is immediately distanced. It's not a debate, it's not a discussion, it's a decision. But this doesn't make him arrogant, it makes him authentic. His self-respect is not rooted in ego but in a deep understanding of his own worth. He knows that anyone who truly values him will never ask him to compromise his integrity. And he knows that those who try to test his limits are not looking for love. They are looking for control. While others may waste years in toxic relationships trying to please people who will never be satisfied, a Sigma saves himself the agony. His self-respect is his armor, his guide, and his compass. It keeps him from sinking into the emotional quicksand that traps so many others, and for this reason, he is immune to anyone who thinks they can own him. Number 3. Master of emotional austerity. Sigma. Males have an exceptional understanding of emotions, but unlike most, they do not drown in them. They are masters of emotional austerity, not because they are cold or detached, but because they recognize that emotional overinvestment is a liability. In a world where most people equate love with sacrifice and affection with blind devotion, Sigmas choose a different path, one of balance, clarity, and control. For a Sigma, emotions are like fire, powerful when properly managed, but destructive when left unchecked. He is perfectly capable of affection, but he refuses to become emotionally intoxicated to the point of losing himself. He can love deeply, but he does so without giving up his sense of self, his principles, or his peace of mind. He understands that emotions are a part of life, but they are not his entire life. This is why a Sigma male is allergic to any woman who demands emotional submission. He immediately recognizes the warning signs: excessive jealousy disguised as care, manipulative guilt trips dressed up as love, or emotional ultimatums meant to secure control. Any attempt to force him into a state of constant emotional availability is met with cold detachment. He does not entertain drama, does not engage in endless emotional debates, and does not play the game of constant reassurance. To most people, this makes Sigmas seem emotionally unavailable, but this is a misinterpretation. A Sigma is not emotionally unavailable. He is emotionally disciplined. He understands that emotions can be a double-edged sword, capable of both elevating and enslaving. While others are swept away by passion, anger, or infatuation, Sigmas remain grounded. They are capable of feeling everything without being consumed by anything. Women who expect a Sigma to be their emotional puppet, to dance at the pull of their heartstrings, quickly find themselves disappointed. They discover that emotional manipulation has no effect on him, that tears do not bend his will, and that affection, weaponized for control, is met with instant rejection. In a world where emotions are often used as tools of control, a Sigma's emotional austerity is his shield. It keeps him clear-headed, unchained, and completely immune to anyone who thinks they can own him. Number 4. Incentive-based commitment. Sigma males do not offer their loyalty as a default setting. Unlike the conventional man who is often desperate to secure love and validation, a Sigma's commitment is a calculated decision, not an emotional impulse. He does not believe in unconditional loyalty because in his world everything of value must be earned, including his devotion. Most people view commitment as a romantic ideal, something that should be given freely and without question. But to a Sigma, this is nothing but a naive fantasy. He understands that blind loyalty is dangerous, an invitation to be exploited, manipulated, or taken for granted. So he has a different approach, incentive-based commitment. For a Sigma, the foundation of any relationship must be undeniable value. This doesn't just mean superficial traits like beauty, charm, or chemistry. It means character, integrity, intelligence, and genuine support. He is not interested in playing the role of the ever-faithful lover to someone who brings nothing substantial to his life. And he is certainly not interested in offering his loyalty to a woman who expects it just because she exists. In his eyes, love is not a blank check. It is an investment, and like any wise investor, he is extremely selective about where he places his time, energy, and trust. If a woman brings value, emotional stability, intellectual growth, genuine partnership, she will see a side of him that is deeply loyal and affectionate. But if she expects love without offering anything in return, She will find herself dealing with a man who is cold, distant, and completely uninterested. This does not mean a Sigma is transactional or calculating. His love is not something that can be bought. Instead, it is something that must be inspired. He does not demand perfection, but he demands authenticity. He doesn't expect someone to cater to his every need, but he refuses to settle for someone who thinks mere presence is enough. And for this reason, a Sigma is immune to emotional manipulation, guilt trips, or social pressure. No amount of tears, tantrums, or temptations can make him commit to someone who does not genuinely deserve it. His love is rare, but that's because it's real, rooted in value, not fantasy. Number 5, not for sale. Financial independence, Sigma. Males understand a fundamental truth that many men ignore. Financial independence is freedom. It is the ability to walk away without hesitation, to say no without fear, and to reject any situation that doesn't align with their values. For a Sigma, money is not just a tool, it is a shield, a weapon, and a gateway to absolute autonomy. This is why a Sigma male cannot be owned, because he cannot be bought. He has seen how many men become prisoners of their own financial choices, trapped in toxic relationships because they fear losing access to comfort, support, or luxury. But a Sigma's financial self-sufficiency makes him immune to these traps. He does not need anyone to fund his lifestyle, validate his ambitions, or save him from hardship. His life is his own, and his money is the backbone of his freedom. Women who try to use financial leverage as a form of control, whether through extravagant gifts, conditional generosity, or veiled threats of financial abandonment, quickly discover that they have no power over a Sigma. He doesn't care about a woman's wealth, her connections, or her promises of a lavish lifestyle. If anything, such attempts to buy his loyalty only amuse him because he knows the truth. His loyalty is not for sale, but it goes even further. A Sigma does not just avoid financial dependency. He actively designs his life to maintain his economic freedom. He builds skills, seizes opportunities, and carefully manages his resources so that he is never at the mercy of someone else's wallet. He is not interested in being a provider in the conventional sense, where he is expected to sacrifice his dreams to fund someone else's lifestyle. Nor will he allow himself to become a kept man, trading his independence for financial security. For a Sigma, money is not just a number in his bank account. It is the physical manifestation of his independence. It is the proof that he can live on his own terms, free from the expectations, obligations, and manipulations that ensnare so many others. A woman who thinks she can use money to control a Sigma is like someone trying to bribe a thunderstorm. It's not just impossible, it's ridiculous. Number 6, loyalty to principles. Over people. For a Sigma male, loyalty is not a matter of emotional attachment, it is a matter of integrity. Unlike most people who will compromise their values just to keep someone around, a Sigma's allegiance is always to his principles first and people second. Even in the most passionate of relationships, his core beliefs are non-negotiable. Anyone who tries to make him choose between his values and their affection is guaranteed to lose. This is because a Sigma male understands something most overlook. People can change, but principles are constant. Lovers may become strangers, friends may turn into enemies, and emotions can shift like the wind. But his principles, honesty, integrity, self-respect, freedom, are the solid ground he stands on. These values are the compass that guides his decisions, the armor that protects him from manipulation, and the backbone that keeps him from bending under pressure. Women who don't understand this quickly find themselves frustrated. They may try to sway him with sweet words, seductive promises, or emotional ultimatums, but they are met with a man who is unmovable. He will not lie just to spare someone's feelings. He will not pretend to agree just to keep the peace. And he will never betray his own beliefs just to keep someone happy. But this doesn't make a Sigma cold or unfeeling. It makes him authentic. His love is never fake. His loyalty is never forced. And his actions are always in alignment with his values. When he is with a woman, she knows that his affection is real because it is rooted in choice, not obligation. He doesn't love because he needs to. He loves because he chooses to. But that love is always conditional on one thing: mutual respect for each other's principles. The moment a woman tries to pull him away from his values, whether by asking him to lie for her, betray his friends, compromise his integrity, or become someone he is not, she loses her influence over him. He doesn't argue, he doesn't negotiate, he simply distances himself. To a Sigma, love without respect is just manipulation. And no matter how much he may care for someone, he will never sacrifice his principles to please them. Because once he betrays his own values, he knows he is no longer himself, and that is a price he will never pay. Number 7. Zero tolerance for emotional blackmail. Sigma males are masters of emotional clarity. They understand that emotions are a natural part of life, but they also know that emotions can be weaponized. In a world where many people use tears, guilt, and blame as tools to manipulate, a Sigma is completely immune. His response to emotional blackmail is always the same: cold, immediate detachment. This isn't because he lacks empathy. In fact, he can be incredibly compassionate when dealing with genuine emotions. But the moment he senses that someone is trying to use feelings as a weapon, his sympathy shuts off like a switch. He recognizes the tactics instantly: sudden tears that appear when logic fails, the silent treatment designed to provoke anxiety, or accusations meant to induce guilt. Where most men panic, apologize, or try to fix things just to restore peace, a Sigma does the opposite. He calmly refuses to engage. A woman who tries to manipulate a Sigma through emotional blackmail quickly discovers that she is playing a losing game. He doesn't chase after someone who walks away in silence. He doesn't apologize for things he hasn't done. And he certainly doesn't reward tantrums with attention. In fact, the more she tries to twist his emotions, the colder he becomes. Her tears do not melt his resolve, they freeze it. Her blame does not weaken his stance, it reinforces it. This doesn't mean a Sigma is heartless, it means he has mastered the art of emotional discipline. He knows that giving in to emotional blackmail is not an act of kindness, it is an act of self-betrayal. The moment he starts rewarding manipulative behavior, he teaches others that they can control him through drama and deceit. But a Sigma would rather lose a relationship than lose his dignity, and this is where he becomes unstoppable. While other men waste years being emotionally twisted, gaslit, or guilted into submission, a Sigma never falls for the trap. His emotional clarity is his shield, and his ability to walk away without hesitation is his sword. A woman who tries to play psychological tug-of-war with a Sigma is like someone trying to pull on a mountain. It doesn't move, it doesn't care, and it certainly doesn't play along. Number 8. Intolerance for mediocrity. Sigma males are driven by an insatiable desire for growth, excellence, and self-mastery. Mediocrity, in any form, is something they cannot tolerate. Whether it appears as laziness, ignorance, or blind conformity, it triggers an instinctive sense of disgust in them. They're allergic to stagnant thinking, predictable behavior, and the empty comforts of an unchallenged life. This is why a Sigma will never allow himself to be owned by a woman who embodies or imposes mediocrity. In relationships, most people are content with routine, familiar habits, shallow conversations, and emotional dramas that go nowhere. But a Sigma finds this unbearable. He is not interested in wasting his time with someone who has no ambition beyond social media validation, whose idea of a deep conversation is celebrity gossip, or who fears stepping outside the comfort zone. He is not impressed by the superficial or the easily satisfied. But his intolerance for mediocrity is not just about intelligence or ambition. It is about mindset. A Sigma has no patience for women who think small, who shrink from challenges, or who make excuses for their failures instead of learning from them. He cannot respect someone who blames the world for her problems but makes no effort to change herself. And he absolutely will not be dragged into a relationship where his own growth is stifled just to keep someone else comfortable. Women who try to impose their own limitations on a Sigma quickly discover that he cannot be contained. If she tries to shame him for his ambition, he will dismiss her. If she tries to make him feel guilty for prioritizing his goals, he will distance himself. And if she tries to make him believe that his dreams are unrealistic or that he should settle down and be satisfied with less, she will be removed from his life entirely. But this doesn't make a Sigma arrogant, it makes him authentic. He would rather be alone, striving for greatness, than be suffocated in the false warmth of mediocrity. To him, Life is too short for comfortable ignorance, too precious for empty routines, and too valuable for shallow connections. He seeks a partner, not a parasite, someone who inspires him, not someone who restricts him. And he knows that the moment he surrenders to mediocrity, he has already lost the essence of who he is. Number 9. Immune to sex as a weapon. A Sigma male understands that sex is a powerful force, a primal human drive that can ignite passion, build connection, and even blur lines between people. But unlike many who get caught up in its emotional whirlwind, a Sigma refuses to be played like a pawn in the manipulative game sex often becomes. He sees clearly when sex is wielded as a weapon, used not as an expression of genuine desire, but as leverage, control, or emotional currency, and he refuses to participate. For many, sex can feel like a bargaining chip, a way to win favors, demand loyalty, or punish defiance. But Sigmas recognize these tactics immediately because they never confuse sex with submission or ownership. They know their worth is not tied to physical intimacy, and they won't allow someone else to control or define them through it. When sex is used to manipulate, whether it's withheld as punishment or offered as a tool to trap, Sigmas step back, emotionally detached and unshaken. This doesn't mean a Sigma lacks passion or intimacy. On the contrary, when he chooses to be with someone, sex is a genuine exchange between equals, not a transaction or power play. He values authenticity and mutual respect above all else and will only engage fully when he feels safe, valued, and respected, not when he's being coerced or emotionally blackmailed. Women who try to weaponize sex soon find that a Sigma is immune to the usual traps. He won't beg for physical affection, grovel for approval, or fall apart when intimacy is withheld. He doesn't play the game of using sex to get what I want, and he won't be baited into responding to emotional manipulation disguised as desire. Because to a Sigma, sex is a gift, not a weapon. And anyone trying to turn it into a tool of control is met with the same cold refusal that greets any attempt to own him. He values his freedom and self-respect too much to ever surrender them on a bed of manipulation. Number 10. Freedom is his oxygen. Freedom for a Sigma male isn't just a nice-to-have or a lofty ideal. It's as essential to his existence as oxygen is to breathing. Without it, he suffocates, and the moment he senses even the faintest hint of being trapped, whether emotionally, mentally, or physically, his instinct kicks in to break free, no matter what the cost. Most people can tolerate confinement of some sort, staying in a relationship because of comfort, tradition, or fear of loneliness. But a Sigma is wired differently. He doesn't bargain with his freedom or lock himself into cages forged by expectations, guilt, or social pressure. To him, freedom isn't negotiable. It's survival. When a woman tries to own him, no matter how subtle the attempt, whether it's through jealousy, possessiveness, or constant demands, she's essentially putting a muzzle on his very breath. That's a deal breaker. He won't wait for the cage to close fully. He'll disappear long before that, unwilling to sacrifice his independence for anything or anyone. This escape isn't about cruelty or spite. It's a raw, instinctual response to preserve the core of who he is. He values his autonomy above all else because he knows that without it, his mind dulls, his spirit weakens, and his potential dies. For the Sigma, emotional cost is secondary to the price of losing his freedom. He'd rather face loneliness, misunderstanding, or heartbreak than live a life constrained by chains, even if those chains come disguised as love or loyalty. And this makes him uniquely untouchable. While others get tangled in dependency and control, a Sigma always keeps one foot out the door. Freedom is his oxygen. Without it, he simply cannot live. Number 11. A relentless desire for growth. A Sigma. Male's defining trait is his relentless desire for growth. This isn't just about career success or ticking life's conventional boxes. It's a deep, almost insatiable hunger for personal evolution, mental, emotional, and spiritual. He lives with the understanding that stagnation is death, and so every moment of his life is dedicated to becoming better than he was yesterday. Because of this, he refuses to be owned or tethered by anyone, especially not by a woman, who tries to slow him down or dictate the terms of his growth. Any relationship that demands he sacrifice his dreams, dull his curiosity, or settle into complacency is immediately off the table. For a Sigma, the idea of being held back is anathema. He knows that growth requires freedom. The freedom to explore, to fail, to learn, and to reinvent himself without judgment or restriction. So, no matter how strong a relationship might be, no matter how much affection or loyalty is involved, he will never let it derail his journey. Women who try to clip his wings, who push for conformity, or who expect him to stay the same, will quickly find themselves sidelined. A Sigma won't tolerate anyone who sees his ambition as a threat, or his evolution as a challenge to control. His journey is solitary by nature, but never lonely, because he is driven by a purpose bigger than any relationship. Love to him is a companion on the path, not a destination or a cage. Ultimately, the Sigma's refusal to be owned is rooted in this unyielding drive. He is forever evolving, forever reaching, and no one, not even love, will ever hold him back. Number 12. Uncompromising individualism. A Sigma male's defining essence is his uncompromising individualism. Unlike those who seek to fit in by rebelling just to stand out, he doesn't follow any script written by society, culture, or even the people closest to him. His primary loyalty is to his own vision of life, a vision so clear and fiercely guarded that no one, not even a woman, can shift its direction or cloud its focus. This isn't about being difficult or contrarian for attention. It's about sovereignty, the refusal to surrender the helm of his own ship to anyone else. Where most people allow their identities to be shaped by relationships, social expectations, or fleeting trends, the Sigma is a force unto himself. He charts his own path with deliberate intent and absolute independence. When a woman tries to impose her ideals, values, or lifestyle onto him, she encounters an immovable wall. He doesn't negotiate his core beliefs or compromise on his life's design just to keep peace or gain approval. To him, losing control of his own narrative is worse than being alone. His life is not a shared project where others write the rules. It is a personal kingdom where he alone decides the laws. This makes him both magnetic and enigmatic, because while he is open to connection, he will never sacrifice his individuality for conformity. Women who attempt to define, own, or change a Sigma quickly learn that he is not a puzzle to be solved or a prize to be won. He is a sovereign force with his own agenda, and no amount of pressure, persuasion, or emotional manipulation can alter that truth. Ultimately, this uncompromising individualism is why a Sigma remains free, because he guards his autonomy with relentless vigilance and refuses to let anyone, even love, rewrite the story of who he is. In the world of Sigma males, ownership isn't just a boundary. It's a battleground where freedom, integrity, and self-mastery fiercely defend their ground. To be owned is to be diminished, and a Sigma refuses that fate with unwavering resolve. His loyalty lies first with his principles, his growth, and his unyielding individualism, leaving no room for manipulation, control, or compromise. Every attempt to cage him, whether through emotional games, financial leverage, or demands on his spirit, is met with the cold certainty of a man who knows his worth and will never settle for less than total autonomy. This is why a Sigma cannot be owned by women or anyone else. Because to him, freedom is not negotiable, self-respect is sacred, and authenticity is the currency of his existence. He chooses connection, not captivity, partnership, not possession. And in that choice lies the power that sets him apart, an extraordinary force that refuses to be tamed, shaped, or subdued. To understand the Sigma is to understand that true strength is not in control over others, but in mastery over oneself. And that is the final, unbreakable truth. A Sigma man remains forever free, forever sovereign, and forever untouchable. If you found value in uncovering the truth behind the Sigma's unbreakable spirit, don't let this knowledge stop here. Hit that subscribe button now to join a community that refuses to settle for ordinary. Like this video to show you're serious about mastering your own path. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Your voice matters and sparks powerful conversations. And most importantly, share this with anyone ready to break free from the chains of conformity and own their freedom. Together, we rise beyond limits,